I will now open up the Town Council work session Tuesday, June 10th, 2025 at 4 p.m. held in the council chambers at 150 East Monroe Street in Wytheville. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. So I need a motion.
And also, I would like to amend the agenda before we approve it, please, to go into a closed meeting pursuant the Virginia Code 2.2-3711A, discussion regarding certain town employees, and Virginia Code Section 2.23711A8, consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters to obtain legal advice.
So we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. Be a roll call vote. Start with Mr. Ham, please.
Aye.
Anderson, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Atkins, aye.
Johnson, aye.
All right, that is unanimous. So first on the agenda is presentation by Director of Parks and Recreation, Josh Sherritts, regarding police towers in the town parks.
Thank you for letting me be here with you all today. And this is a little bit more all-encompassing as far as park safety improvements, rather than just the safety poles. So I noticed there were two other items that are going to be slightly addressed in this. So as far as McLean pool fencing and also some additional camera locations that will be addressed in this as well. So this is a plan for some improvements that the Safety and Events Committee and myself have been working towards over the last couple of weeks. But to give you some background, last 3 to 5 years, a heightened level of concern for safety has been brought to both Wytheville PD and the Parks and Rec Department. And some of those factors just increased usership of the parks. People are just being more active, increased out-of-town traffic and out-of-town users. It's a great place to stop. So we're starting to see a lot more of that. And then there's also much more events being hosted annually in the town. So this presentation will primarily focus on 3 of our parks: Withers Park, Elizabeth Brown Park, and the Town T-Ball Park. And I'm sorry, there was a lot of information I was trying to cram into this, so the writing's a little bit small. But just some general recommendations for all parks is considering additional camera locations throughout each park where infrastructure will allow. Right now we have a lot of that infrastructure. However, as that infrastructure is expanded, there would be the potential for some additional. We've also been working with the PD and Shane and Rosa over in tourism on a Be Aware, Show You Care campaign. And this would just be a campaign that would involve a partnership between Parks and Rec and the police department to educate the public on resources available to them. And that would include information on what to do or who to call when something seems unsafe or strange or just out of the ordinary. And that would be done through our public outreach utilizing social media and or our town websites, as well as the town newsletter and our Parks and Rec brochure. And the last part, again, these are general recommendations for all parks, but the last part of that general recommendation would be updated signage throughout each park. And that would include simple and uniform signage throughout each park with emergency numbers, location, and general info with parks and rules and operating hours. So a lot of times we have multiple entrances to our parks. So if you're talking about the T-ball park, if there's something happening, well, what is my location? Is it this side or this side? Or is it at Withers? Is it on the Spiller side or is it on the Monroe side? So those kind of things. So you would see in this, in case of emergency, contact 911. It would also list their location. And then if it's not an actual emergency, not a police-related emergency, then the number for Parks and Rec to give us a call if you see something of concern. And also some various rules that would be consistent throughout all parks. The parks are available for safe usage of everyone. Please enjoy the park while you're here, but clean up afterwards. Feel free to bring your pets, but they got to be on a leash and clean up after them. All town parks are closed from dusk to dawn unless otherwise advertised. And then information on how to make Parks and Rec reservations. And then again, if you see something unsafe or of concern, please contact 911. So this is a topic that you all had elsewhere on the agenda, but because it was a topic to be discussed, I wanted to expand on that here. This is a conversation that we've been having as far as adding fencing to a closed McWayne shelter. Some benefits associated with that. It would considerably decrease any type of vandalism as the park or as the shelter would only be available to the public during swim hours during the summer. Rentals could still be available. It would just be a matter of unlocking that area. The shelter would be monitored and supervised by aquatic staff. It would assist in providing some additional space to pool patrons. One of the concerns we have with our pool is lack of deck space. And so adding that additional space would be great for larger groups if they came to the pool. It would require approval from the Historical Society to attach a fence to what I'm calling the guardrail, which is, I'll show you in this next slide. There is an existing guardrail that is on the property line between our property at the top of the stone wall and the Historical Society behind the old annex. They have granted approval for that, for something to be attached to that fence. And we would shoot for matching the existing structure or matching the existing wooden fence behind the Boyd Museum for that. And then the gated areas would be matching the existing chain link fence that's around McWayne. That would include 10-foot gate access for utility vehicles or maintenance vehicles. And I have been able to get a quote from Virginia Fence Builders for that cost of $8,482, and that includes all work, wood and chain link fence to match. But with this, with pricing being what it is, I would recommend, if that was something you all would approve, adding a 10% contingency for unknown costs or added. After the last work session, there was a request to look into an 8-foot, potentially making that wood side an 8-foot fence. It is possible. It would require going back to this Historical Society because they did approve a 5-foot fence in height. 8-foot fence is a little bit different because the installation process, we wouldn't be able to just attach it to that guardrail. We'd actually have to mount it in the ground, much, very similar to you would a traditional fence. And the best guesstimate that the contractor could give me because of the core drilling for that would be an added cost of about $6,000. So, and you know, you've got additional materials and everything with the height of that fence. So if we were looking at adding this fence, we were trying to look at some different options on how we could operate that, so where our regular park users wouldn't feel that we're taking seating away. So what we tried to look at here was during the pool months. Option one would be during the pool months. Again, the shelter would be closed to non-pool users. Outside of the pool season, the gates would be left closed. However, with the demolition of the shelter that was behind the old bleachers, we were able to secure 8 picnic tables out of that we do currently have. We're using them up around the rec center now for outdoor seating, but they could easily be moved throughout the park. And then again, with rentals, the shelter could be available anytime throughout the year as it is currently. Option two, I mean, again, the shelter would be closed throughout the year. Non-pool users could utilize the picnic areas. And I asked Billy Anderson with engineering to draw me up a little drawing that we could show an example of an area where we could add a patio using 4 of those, again, tables that we already have, as well as 2 barbecue pads that we already have. So this is in the area located directly between the Rock House Museum and the Boyd Museum. However, it's very simple, and we could just move this to another area within Wytheville if we felt that this was an appropriate thing to do. This would also cut down significantly on the maintenance that our mowing crew has to do because, you know, they're not having to move the tables every time they want to mow that area. And then option 3 would be, again, during the pool months, the shelter would be closed. However, outside of the pool season, the gates would open and close at specific times each day. That would require staff to go over and open and close that gate Monday through Sunday at a predetermined time, if it's 9 a.m. and then we close at 7 p.m. or whatever that may be. And again, rentals would be made available at any time throughout the year as they are currently. Because I know this was going to be another agenda item, are there any questions on this that you all would like to discuss before we move to the rest of the presentation? Very good. This is where we come into additional recommendations for those parks. I've been calling them the blue light safety poles. You know, I'm not sure exactly what the correct term is for them. But there are 3 different types of options. There's one that is a totally solar powered option, solar powered, and then it uses basically a mobile hotspot is how that would connect if you don't connect it into any existing infrastructure. The other kind is, like you see on the bottom right, those are totally hardwired, power's ran to them consistently, and then they are also part of the town system, so there's a landline essentially that would go from there. The one in the top right is one that you can actually mount to an existing light pole or to the side of a building if you so fit. In Withers Park, those are options. They have a button on it that you push, and that immediately contacts 911. And then as soon as you push that button, it does activate a camera, and so that camera would start recording at that point. Again, in Withers, we do have existing power and communications lines, so we could tap directly into those if we felt those would be necessary.
Mr. Schertz, can you go back 1 second?
Yes, ma'am.
I know you said something about it activates a camera for monitoring. Is it just in that like section, or does something actually come up and just record
No,
like the vicinity?
it just depends on the model that you use. Sometimes they're in the top where the light is, and it does kind of like a panoramic photo, like what you see typically with your phone. Now that would be much more limited depending on where you put it. So you'd want to put that in an area that has a good widescape view.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So forgive my crude drawings here. I was trying to do this, but if you look at this drawing, this is an aerial view of Withers Park. If you see the blue dot, which is just to the back left side of McWayne Pool, that was the recommendation by 2 of the companies that we had come and look at the area for an exceptional spot, because it does provide you a wide view. When the camera's activated, it's close to the parking lot, and has pretty good placement considering, you know, the playground's right there, parking lot, and everything like that. The red lines that you see back along the shelter in the top right corner, those would be where we would propose putting the 2 gates, and each of those are about 20 foot wide. And again, that would be the section of gate that matches the existing chain link. And then right along the bottom portion of that parking lot beside the shelter would be where you'd see that wood fence that would match the existing fence behind the Boyd Museum. The green dots are locations that we would add that updated signage. So again, these would be adding these throughout the bathroom area. We would be adding these beside where the proposed blue light pole would be, as well as beside the playground, near the Veterans Memorial, and then also at the opposite entrance. And then the yellow dots are where you have existing cameras. So we do have an existing camera under the shelter behind McWayne. We have one on a light pole that looks at McWayne shelter. We also have one over the pool that looks out over the playground area towards the track. And then prior to the bleachers being torn down, there was one on the top of that. And then we also have one near the restroom area. So those were your existing spots. If you were going to add additional, I would recommend along the other entrance or potentially near the Veterans Memorial.
I have a real question.
Yeah,
real
no
quick
problem,
question,
no
Mr. Schertz. I know you were talking about signage there and like at the T-ball field. Is there a place where an address is listed, say for instance, if someone is from out of town, they're playing at the playground?
Well, if you look back on the sign, we had your location, and that would be where we put the address.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Thank you.
Now, the T-ball field doesn't have a 911 address, so we just have to put T-ball fields, this park
Okay.
entrance, something like that.
That's what I was,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I know a lot of people know this, but okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So now moving on to Elizabeth Brown. Here, again, the same options as far as if you were going to install a blue light safety pole. We do have hardwired, or the option to do a hardwired into existing communications and power lines at Elizabeth Brown Park. Again, same setup, push button activated, immediately contacts 911, a camera would be engaged with that. The next option we have, and again, we try to incorporate total park safety in some of the things that we've discussed over the years. And another recommendation we had for Elizabeth Brown would be to either relocate the existing stage or modify the existing stage. One of the problems we have is behind the stage area is such a beautiful piece of the park. It is also very frequented by those that would like to camp or getting into no good. And so If you were to modify that, you would basically remove that storage room or restrooms that are on the back of the stage. Just take that wall out so you get a clear line of sight. Or if you would like to move that, what I've done here is directly behind the fire station, I've located an area that, in talking with downtown Wytheville or anything like that, we feel that that may be an appropriate location for relocation of that stage. And then you would remove the old one, and it would open up a clear line of sight all the way through that park. And it's an option, just an option. So again, just like on the last one, we do have a blue dot for a safety pole. And if you look to the top left, right behind 4th Street, you can see that blue dot, and that's the entrance to the park. We also have the Heritage Walk continues straight through this park. And one of the rules of thumb that the contractors were talking to us about is a 100-yard dash. You can't see 100 yards from one entrance to the other. They recommend placement of 2 of those poles, so 1 at each entrance to that. And so if you're down there and if you're looking at it from one end to the other, you can't really see that parking lot area from that. So that's why we did list, I did put 2 of those in that location. Again, green dots are the addition of updated signage, and then the yellow dots are where our current cameras are located. So you can see on the back side of 4th Street and then on that upper shelter area. T-ball park is a little bit different. T-ball has no electrical infrastructure. It has, so what we would be looking at in that area if we were to install the blue light safety poles would be a totally solar option, unless we were to add electrical infrastructure to that park. So again, same setup. It would just be, that one would have to be a solar option with the way the park is laid out at this point. So other additional recommendations for the T-ball park are lighting. Again, you would need the electrical infrastructure, but solar lighting and the LEDs, you can get some pretty bright light on that area. Again, and right now we're looking at that option because there is no electrical infrastructure. If power was run, that would make, running a little bit cheaper option for installing some pole lights would make that much easier. It would also make the install cost of a blue light safety pole a little bit less because you wouldn't be going with the solar powered option. Another thing that in this process, some safety concerns that have been brought to us have been, right now in T-ball, it is located so close on that intersection. If a ball goes over the fence or rolls out of the grass, it rolls immediately onto that street. And so one of the things that we would propose would be taking the 2 existing ball fields, removing some of the fence, and then making it one big rectangle field. From an operational standpoint, it would help me out. It would add a peewee ball field that I could use for soccer, football, things like that. But it would also enclose that area, so the play area would be totally enclosed by that fence. While Virginia Fence Builders was here looking at McWayne, I did ask them to quote that, and reusing a lot of the existing materials because the fence is actually, the chain link is in really good shape. They would just have to remove poles or reset poles. They could do that project for $7,025. And again, if that was something that the town was interested in pursuing, we would recommend a 10% contingency for that. Most of the costs associated with that is removing the concrete from the existing poles, straighten that out.
Is there an opening on the roadside there to the fence?
An opening? Yes, ma'am, there is an opening.
entrance?
Yes, ma'am. So here's a little diagram of what I'm proposing with that. So we would basically remove the arced part of the fence and just connect it where those 2 red lines are. And again, we would be able to reuse most of that chain link. The blue dots would again be the blue light safety poles. And again, with the way this park is set up, it's not a straight line from one entrance to the other. You do have to go around. So keeping in mind that 100-yard dash, we did place two blue light safety poles, 1 at each parking lot area. The next, we did add additional green dots there for additional signage. I tried to put those, you can see where some foot traffic, where people do walk through that, so you'll see that there's a green dot along that dugout side, or where we did put the appropriate usage of the park, things like that. And then yellow dots would be existing areas where we think that lighting would be appropriate. So 1 light over each parking lot, basically 1 light behind each backstop, and then a solar powered light that would be on the side of our storage shed there. So
You don't have
moving,
it- I'm sorry,
sorry.
You don't have any lighting at all? up
No,
there
ma'am,
now?
there's no lighting at that park.
You have a,
There's street lighting, but it's not anywhere over the park.
so y'all don't play in there?
We don't, as soon as it gets dark, we call the games. Yes, ma'am.
And this would just be safety.
This would be safety lighting at the park, yeah. This wouldn't be intended to light up the field of play. It would just be safety lighting for that area. Any questions on those general recommendations for all parks as well as the individual recommendations for each park?
A couple questions,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sheriff,
Yes, sir.
if I may. Can you help us understand what the price difference would be on the one that is powered by electric or the other one?
Yeah,
How
it's
about
just
the-
the type of equipment. The solar panel adds a lot of cost to that, and I've got a price breakdown
Thank you.
on those as we go forward.
The
Okay,
the
so that's
solar
coming
panel
up.
has what?
The solar panel adds to that price. The solar panel adds to all of that.
It increases?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can I get a copy of that, please?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I've got it broken down in here too.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that it was coming up.
Yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
apologize.
Like I
That's
said,
all right.
there's a lot in this, so I'm
all right.
sorry for
No, it's
for
fine.
the amount of this. So moving on to the Be Aware, Show You Care campaign, I think that is a great place to start. I mean, again, educating the public is always the best place to start with that. So I've just listed again those areas and how we would do that. The only thing that I've added that I didn't in the first part is that campaign length. I think that at the beginning of each summer will be, again, an appropriate time to do that, and we would probably do that for about 1 month through that social media process. So these are the pricing breakdowns. I've gone with 3 different companies. I tried to get 3 different pricing on the 3 different sets of pricing on this. The first is Step. Step is a company that is installed and maintains 13 safety poles located around Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. So I was actually down last weekend and saw those in place. They offer a turnkey product, so they bring it in, set it up, install it, hook it up, everything that you need to do, and they can provide either the solar or 120 volt options. They have a 3-year monitoring and warranty included in that. So you can see the difference in price there. They have a 120 volt option, which is the hardwired version, for $19,825. And then they have a solar installed option of $23,477. So again, reputable company, can provide those. Then we asked Johnson Control. Johnson Control, I was at a soccer game at Carroll County and noticed that they have 4 of those on their campus. Johnson Control installed those. Again, they offer a turnkey product. They can provide either 120 volt or solar option. They have a 3-year warranty and then a lifetime monitoring with that. And that basically just means that they'll let us know if something is wrong. So if the cameras quit working, if the phone line may be damaged, someone ran into it, and we don't know. And that adds no cost to that. There's a local technician. He's actually out of Independence. He was the one who came and met with me on that product. You can see their product is a little less expensive. So you're looking at $16,000 and some change for 120 volt, and then $19,000 and some change for solar. They can also assist with grant procurement on that if we would like to. They helped Carroll County High School or Carroll County School Board with that process. The last one is a company that's basically you order the pole and then you add each additional amenity to it that you would like. It's an online company. They've been kind of difficult as far as getting the cost of those additional features that we would like to outfit them similarly to what Step or Johnson offers. So the cost that you see here for the 120 volt, the $3,992, that is for just the pole. That is the shell. It comes with the ability to adapt a camera, adapt a light, anything like that to it. And then the solar, it comes prepared to accept that solar panel at $5,613. But again, you have to pay to add that. And then our crew or the town staff would have to install, set up, and do all that. And there's no warranty. There's nothing associated with that one. But again, they've been a little bit difficult as far as getting a firm handle on that pricing. They've not been very responsive when it comes to that. Are there
Josh,
any-
have some of the other communities, have they had a lot of vandalism? I mean, I hate to put one up for so many $1,000s and then the next day it's demolished.
I think it just depends. I mean, they're pretty sturdy. I mean, they're sturdy. I mean, you'd have to run into it with a vehicle essentially to tear it up, because they are a stainless steel cylinder and things like that. But as far as vandalism, I've talked to the police department of Virginia Tech because they have a few of those installed. Christiansburg Parks and Rec maintains those along their trail and along the Huckleberry. The police department is the one who primarily maintains those. They have general maintenance where someone will spray paint them or try and spray paint over the camera and things like that. One of the things too to mention is if you push that button and it's not an emergency, that's essentially contacting 911 and hanging up, so you can be charged for that. So that does deter people from messing with it a little bit. But are there any questions? And there are other companies out there. These were just 3 that I was able to get a hold of that responded to my initial.
Do we have, or did we have something up at,
We do, and that was a homemade version. It was a homemade version. It's a pole. It's a PVC pipe with a hotspot
we're talking about
inside.
Crystal Springs?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So I know that Nightscope, they do provide towers, and I think their wireless tower for Nightscope is about $8,482. And that wireless tower you can connect with Verizon for about, I think, $260. I have a gentleman that would be willing to do a demo for Nightscope. And Nightscope would be ideal for Crystal Springs because it's wireless and it connects. You don't have to run any wiring or anything like that. So I have, done my own research because I think this is something that we need in our community for people to be able to access. So I did speak with the gentleman at Nightscope, and he gave me the information as far as what their towers cost and everything. So he did provide me with for just the one tower, $8,482. And then, like I said, there you possibly, I think, can connect with Verizon, AT&T, and maybe one other person, and or one other company, not a person. And like you can put it at Crystal Springs because it is wireless. I don't know. I haven't looked at Johnson Controls or the STEP. I'm not familiar with the STEP. Johnson Controls I am, and the NNC I'm not familiar with. But I would like to look at their paperwork that they sent you and do a comparison with
Nightscope
to see what their differences.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What their differences are. But I think that it is something that is much needed with the complaints that we've had, and things are changing around us. Whether we want it to change or not, things are changing rapidly. And due to those changes, I want to be prepared for the changes that are coming. There are changes that no one can do anything about. I'm going to give you the pricing for the tower. The 8,482. I'm off. It's $8,900, and then the software is $250 a year per tower. And then with Verizon, it is a $260 or less per year, depending on the plan. So I'll read that back again. It is pricing for the tower is $8,900 plus their software at $250 per tower. Also, they work closely with Verizon, which offers a plan of $260 or less per year, depending on the plan for each one.
Very good. Yeah, and I'm happy to meet with them. Yeah,
And the name of their company is Nightscope.
Yes, ma'am.
And they will do a demo. If they can't get here, they will do a demo online for everybody to see. But I've just spoke with the gentleman there, and he provided me with everything that I needed to take a look at. So I just requested information from him just to see what he would respond with. And the tower, I'll hold it up for everybody to see. This is what their towers look like.
Your screen went blank.
Oh, did it move? Well, let me go back here.
If you would not mind to send that information, that would be great.
Yeah, I will.
Thank
I
you.
can do that. I'll be
appreciate
glad to get that information. It did move. My screen's changed there on me, but I had one of their towers. It looks similar to the ones that you have shown. I know that they are tamperless and they're weatherproof without rust and corrosion and all that good stuff. So but that could be another company that we can take a look at if council so desires. But they have, I think they've got great products as well. And it's K1 is the one that I inquired about, the K1 Blue Light Tower. There it is.
Mr. Sheriff, I don't know how other council people feel, but I do not really care for the one, the NNC, because of the fact there's no warranty.
Oh, no, I agree with
Okay.
I
that.
feel that way as well.
Yeah, I agree
It's
with
not-
that.
But thank you for looking into that.
Yeah, I was trying to find at least
Oh,
something to
sure.
compare
Yeah,
it to.
right, that's
Yeah,
fine. Thank
yeah.
you.
So I have one question, and this is going to be probably an obvious answer, but this is a price per unit?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I was hoping that, I was wrong about that.
package.
but yeah. And we
Not all-
have
not all
a-
5.
And so we are going to do 5 total, is that?
That,
in each-
they,
is that
they,
both parts?
they priced it per unit,
Sure.
just depending on what we would like to add to that.
And so just to, I know we just passed the budget last night. There is funding in the budget for this, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm asking, because I remember there being safety. Ms. Hilton, does that ring a bell? With this? Okay, then there was the 100,000 for solar. Would the solar money tap in? Yes, I'm sorry, the energy plan, thank you. Would that be some money you could use if we did solar power? I just didn't know where the funding is going to come from. That's why I was just
Right.
asking before we get too far into it, but it seems like we had some money in for the cameras. Do you remember, Mr. Moore?
I don't think we have any money in for blue poles as a final. Now, do have council member fund approval. We haven't talked about that, but 1,000. So one of you pull your money, several things.
That'd be something we need to discuss. I mean, all this sounds great, but I'm going to talk about how we're paying for it on the first day after we pass the budget. So maybe you could help with some ideals or suggestions. It just seemed like there was a couple of categories in there that this could fall under, and I can't say exact, but if I remember right.
Everything in your budget.
No, there was nothing that was requested with that, no.
Well, one option would be to reach out to Nightscope and get a price
yeah,
for 5
absolutely.
of them with installation and come back to the council with that number.
Yeah, with that being significantly less than.
And
what-
when you were talking about a possible grant assistance with this, what kind of timing is it? Probably not very practical.
It's not very fast.
Okay,
It's not very
yeah,
fast.
just checking.
It took Carroll County 2 years
Yeah,
to
that's
get
okay,
those
we
on their campus.
Okay, thank you. I
Did
understand.
they get grants for the full amount?
They didn't get grants for the full amount, but there was a portion of it that was covered. Now, they did install those a few years ago, so they would probably be a little bit more at this point, but definitely worth looking into the night scope.
And maybe if we get 5, maybe they'll give us a little bit of a break, possibly.
Possibly.
Buy 4, get 1 free.
Get one free, yeah, buy 4, get 1 free.
Look, my frugal nature
Yeah, absolutely.
trying. Come back to that part by Elizabeth Brown Park.
Oh, right here?
Right there, you have proposed one at each park.
Yes, sir.
What if there won't be dead center in the middle? And you have a line of site from all?
We can put them anywhere in the park that can, I think that I would really want PD to weigh in on something like that. The reason that they recommended it close is because that's typically where incidents happen, is near parking lots. And so that's why they recommended them close to those areas.
Okay.
And that was purely off of, both contractors recommended that same
But
location.
there's no parking there on.
No, but that's also,
Washington.
that's also an access point to the park. Yes, sir.
Here's
But we could move them anywhere, yeah. Yeah.
This is the one I was talking
Yeah.
about.
Mhm.
And
And
Where
that one you
it's
said was
wireless.
just at $9,000, right, about 9,000. Right, so that times 5, so you're just looking about 45,000 if we went that route. Just trying to figure out how we could pay for that. Or we
Do what
could-
now?
I was just trying to figure out what the amount would be if we did 5 of those.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd have ongoing maintenance of
Then we'd
a
have
little over 500 in
a
ongoing
year.
maintenance. I didn't write the numbers down, but there was a software fee and a wireless access fee.
250, 260.
per tower for software.
Which is pretty reasonable. I mean, those numbers are reasonable, just,
Vice Mayor, did that include installation also?
That, it has, the software was 250. I don't know what other installation comes with that. And like I said, he would be happy to do a demo for us. And then everybody can see, you know, if you can come to a work session, maybe we can set it up to where he can do a demo for us in a work session.
Absolutely.
And then that way you can be a
Yeah.
part of
Yeah,
it, since you know, with Parks and Recs.
Yeah,
And you can see, but I just kind of reached out. I have asked, I think, for these a couple of years ago, and we just, it never came into fruition. So I really want to try to get something done with it, but I would like for him to do a demo
Yeah.
for everybody to see, and that way everybody can see and know
Yeah.
where they're coming from and see what the prices are actually going to be.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
for them to do that, but I would like to, and if you could send me the information they sent you, I would greatly
Sherry,
appreciate
I'll
it.
send that to you for them.
Sure, and I'll
Yeah.
distribute it.
Okay, just a couple more. So this is where we can talk about proposed timeline. The campaign and the signs, the cost associated with the campaign is it's just time. It's putting that together. And then the signs could be done at a pretty minimal cost. We can do the design work here. It's just finding a company that can print those up for us. Fencing at McWayne, if money was approved, we could look at it for this fall. T-ball could look at fall of '26. Additional camera locations, if desired, could be fall of '26, and then the blue light poles, fall of '26. So when we were looking at this, I sent this out and proposed this to the Safety and Events Committee. And the agreement was initiate the Be Aware, Show You Care campaign, you know, as quickly as possible. And work between the police department and myself and town council to ensure that the information is appropriate and communicated thoroughly. And then implement the signage as soon as possible. We could again review verbiage, things like that for the signs, and then we can get those ordered rather quickly. And we can get that done pretty fast. And then we'd work with Public Works to install those. Implement fencing projects at McWayne Shelter and T-Ball Park by including that. I know you all just passed that last night, but if it was the ability to include that in fiscal year 25-26 or delay that until 26-27. And then consider the budget for the safety poles. And again, that was based off of the numbers that I had received. Yours is much better. And so look at that, either the implementation of the safety poles and potential stage modification in January, and consider that for fiscal year 2027. So that is.
I have some
it.
questions if I could. real
Yes,
quick.
sir. Yes, sir.
If you wouldn't mind, put that back up on the
Yep.
screen so I don't forget. I'm sorry. So thank you. So my question was going to be on the wood fence that we might have around the pool area now.
Yes, sir.
You talked about an 8-foot fence, but wouldn't a 6-foot fence be? What I was trying to do, or what we were trying to do, was not have people stand up top and look down over
Right.
people while they're at.
Well, we
the pool.
actually proposed
Is
to
it
the
6 foot,
to the
not-
Historic
okay.
Society a 6 foot, and they came back with a 5.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And, yeah.
But I thought I heard you say 8. That somebody
Well,
requested
that was
8.
at the request,
Which is
was
really, really
looking
high.
at how we would install an 8-foot fence, and if we were to
5
go.
foot would, and it would be on top of that stone wall? Or
It would be at the top of the parking
another
lot.
foot?
Yeah.
I was just trying to see if you're gonna gain a foot if it goes on top of the stone wall, or is it going behind the wall? Do you know how it would sit? I just didn't know if it would actually be 6 foot when it was actually installed.
It won't be 6 foot when it's installed. It would be right at 5 foot.
Just the fence.
And the reason we looked at the 5 to 6 foot was because we can attach that to it without having to mount something in the
Gotcha, I
ground.
understand. Thank you, sir.
And so,
Thank you.
So have they started on that already?
no, ma'am.
No, we're just talking
Because
about.
there are two boards for fencing, and I don't know if that is with the museums that they placed there and did not complete, but there are two wooden boards that go. So I don't know if who or how or what, but
I haven't been back down
the
there,
two
so I don't know.
wooden boards. So I didn't know if somebody had already started on something or
No, nothing's.
or anything. Okay,
Nothing's been
so
approved for that.
okay, I'm not.
Is there,
I want to just have a little bit more discussion about the enclosure
Right.
and all that, because I'm really still on the fence. I had someone else that spoke to me about some things that they do.
I like that pun
And,
there.
so I'm still on the fence about that. So if we could have further discussion, I would like council to have further discussion about it.
and, okay, that's fine. And my other question would be, you had spoke when we met at the pool that day that you might, well, never mind, that wouldn't apply now because we've started a new, well, actually, that you might have funds in your budget that might help pay for that fencing.
No, we
Is
wouldn't
it-
be able to get that completed before the end of this fiscal year.
We'll sign a contract.
No, we just received a quote.
But what he's saying is if you sign a contract before the end of the year,
Oh,
if
I
we
understand.
decided
I
on
understand.
something.
Write a check and pay it.
Would you like to go ahead, can we go ahead and discuss what you would like to about it being open? Because I
Yes.
was down there with you that day when it happened, when those people came, and it was very nice, and I understand exactly what you're
Right.
saying. I think Mr. Sherritt said, I'm not sure, that even that what we would like, I think is what they were speaking about, is making sure during the day on a Saturday, Sunday afternoon, people could still go in. So whenever they unlock the bathrooms and lock the bathrooms at night, is what we were thinking, they could unlock that and lock that at the same time.
That's a timed lock, and so it's a magnet, and so
Okay,
it's on a timer, so no one actually
Gotcha.
goes and unlocks that.
Okay, I understand that, okay.
And we could look into options as far as gate openers, things like that. That's just gonna significantly add to that cost of putting the gate up.
But I understand we don't want it blocked on a really nice Sunday afternoon when there's nobody down there and the gate's locked. I understand. And I think there's some way we can work that out. I mean, that should be easy. I think we can work that out.
Well, you're going to block that side off to the playground, and there are people that, they go down there and take their kids to play on the playground equipment, and then if they want to celebrate something, they may take pizza and go under the shelter, or have their lunch under the shelter, and if they would have to go all the way around and come back around, and I don't want to restrict that access, and I don't want it to be complicated. I want it to be left like it is. Now, if there are other issues and safety concerns, then we need to work with the police department on taking care of those. We do have ordinances, and we need to start enforcing the ordinances that we have. If we don't go by our ordinances, then it appears as though anything goes, and I do not want that appearance for our town. I want to enforce, if there's nobody supposed to be there after dusk, they should not be there after dusk. I know that we make checks at night. They check the park, and if no one is supposed to be there, then those individuals, if they are there, they need to be asked to leave the premises because they are, I believe, trespassing. Mr. Castle, correct me if I'm wrong. If we have rules set forth, they are not, and no one is supposed to be there before dawn. Am I right? And after
We can
dusk.
set reasonable
Okay.
limitations on that.
So, and I know that Mr. Bard and Chief Hash, Chief Deputy Bard, I know that they would be willing to work with us to come up with a solution to make sure that we keep our parks safe. Being, and still do, working in law enforcement, I'm big when it comes to the safety, the health and safety of our citizens. That is important to me. And so I want people to be safe, and I want to prevent health hazards as well. So I'm not foreclosing that off. I want to leave it open and available to parents who take their kids. Some children are homeschooled, and they may go to the park to have rec, and they may eat their lunch there. And I don't want to take that away from them.
And I don't want to take that away either, but I just agree about it not being fenced in. I mean, I've been down there, and yes, we have rules and we have laws, but the officers cannot be on site 24/7. They cannot be down there all the time. They can't. I think we need to have more discussion, but I'm still in favor of it being fenced, but being open to the people like you would like it to be open, but I don't think that area is safe, and I'm going to continue to ask that we have it fenced to some degree. A group met, safety group met. This is a recommendation from them that I think that you think it should be fenced, if I understand that right. But I'm not ready just to say no. I mean, we can talk about it more, but I still think it needs to be fenced. So we can continue the conversation.
I think there's going to be a way that both
It
things
should
can
work so
happen.
easy. All you have to do is have it open during the day,
we
and
just
the
have to
gates
think
are locked
about
at
it a little
night,
bit.
and everybody gets what they want. I don't think that's complicated, but I'm not ready to say no to that myself.
I did have a thought after, just after consideration, but I didn't know, because I know that you're wanting people to be able to eat like at picnic tables and have more room for your space. And I didn't know if maybe a consideration would be like bring the fence here, that way that, you know, we could still have picnic tables here, but you could still bring your picnic tables and little cookouts here for people who, you know, would want to be able to picnic, or maybe you said like lay out in the sun or whatever here. But that's just a suggestion. It's just come off this corner of the building, and you'd still have some room there. Just a thought.
Right.
I don't know if y'all saw that or not.
If I remember, weren't there 2 gates proposed, one on each side?
Yes,
So
sir.
you wouldn't have to walk around if the gate was unlocked. You could get in from the playground side.
Right.
Without walking all the way.
And if I'm not mistaken, there's also picnic tables proposed on both ends of those gates outside the gates. What you had
Correct.
shown as a proposal, so there's picnic tables there on both sides.
Well, we could,
Supposed
and
to
again,
have
none
some-
of those locations are concrete. I mean,
You
until
just sit
until
on it.
concrete's poured, I
Sure.
mean, you know, kind of deal. But we could absolutely add those existing tables that we already have throughout the park if we would like to do that as well.
A lot of good dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you for all that information.
Thank you, Mr. Sherwood.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Appreciate you. Oh, one question. I didn't see a amount for the solar lights at the T-ball park. Did you share that, or did you not?
No, I
Okay.
didn't.
No
I didn't
problem.
because it just depends on
No problem. Okay, thank you.
the size and scope that we go with that.
All right, thank you.
So moving forward on the agenda, it would be to review of ordinance number 1450 and ordinance amending and reenacting ordinance number 1028, generally known as personnel rules, regulations, and policies of the town of Wytheville, Virginia, so as to amend and reenact section 5, leaves of absence, subsection 5.9, legal holidays. So I don't know who's going to talk about that, but
Well, I can talk about it, I think. Over the years, we have allowed employees to accumulate leave time that was granted based on working on a holiday. They get that, to bank that. And they have, a number of employees have done a very good job of doing that, and they have a lot of bank time. human resources and everyone, I think, thinks we need to get that amount of time down and put a cap on it. So this ordinance is designed to put a cap on that and give them a period of about 6 months to utilize that leave that they've earned through working on holidays. There are a few people who have some very large amounts, and we would propose that, and I think it's listed here, that in certain circumstances, the town manager could grant an additional extension of time to utilize those hours. But that, in a nutshell, is what this is about.
We have a lot of people who are really have a lot more to use.
If I remember,
might
there are
lose.
about 4 or 5 people who have a tremendous number of these and would probably need some additional time to utilize those days, those hours.
If we lose them.
Yeah, I don't think they ought to have to lose them. I mean, they're being very, very good to the town by working holidays and getting that credit and not taking them, but they need to take them because we can't just, it becomes a liability to the town.
May I ask a question, Mr. Moore, on that? On the employees, would they be told when to take it, or will they be able to take it when they want to?
Well, they should be able to take it when they want to, but they need to obviously get their supervisor
Need
to
to
buy
take it.
into that.
Well, right, but I would hate for just to be honest with you, if I was the employee and the supervisor said, no, you only can take it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I don't really think that would be fair. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't either. I mean, there's no stipulation relative to that other than they just get approval from the
But,
supervisor.
some supervisors, could only do that, depending on, I just would hate to see that happen.
Yeah. Well, if that happened, I think the town manager could grant them an extension to utilize it.
Well, I think what I'm trying to say is I think that it should be, since the employees sacrifice the time and have that extra time, I think it should be not during like a busy time and things like that. What I'm trying to say is before in the past, I know that it was the supervisor's call, and I understand that that's how it should be. But if I've accumulated so much time and worked holiday or, holidays and things like that, I think it should be, there's got to be a little bit of leeway there. Because like I said, I would hate for the supervisor to say, you can only take it Tuesday, you sacrifice this time and you've got this much time built up, but yet you can't be off like not the whole week, but just say like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I don't know if I would like that much of as an employee. Does that make sense? Is that making sense to anybody?
Yeah, but I don't know, I'm not sure how we regulate that other than just say, if there's a problem, you need to see the town manager about it and see if you can't get some relief.
Okay.
I mean, that's the only way I know to do it.
Okay.
Mr. Castle, can you?
I don't have any other suggestion, but certainly your town manager can take into account your desire that for that leave to be liberally granted as much as possible with the functional needs of the town. I think that's what and Mr. Moore can understand, that that's a concern of council, to make sure that that to the extent that it's possible that it be allowed to be used. But it's something it's hard to, there's no way to legislate that in a way that's
Just because
It'd be
I know,
very difficult.
right, I know some departments, they're very adamant about, like, 2 people taking off at the same time, and say, for instance, if there is the 2 people, I just would don't want to see them lose it, but something worked out.
I believe that the departments you're talking about in particular wouldn't have much of this problem.
Okay.
That's my guess, but I haven't looked at those things yet.
Well, you never know. You wouldn't think that it'd be
Yeah.
probably
there
2
are
people
many
taking
days
off
that
either.
they work
but, right.
holidays, I don't believe.
Right.
Yeah, so, but for instance, the police department does, and they're the primary source of employees that have built up this time. And there are probably a number of recreation staff that have the same thing. Mr. Sheriff can tell me whether he would be flexible on that, but I assume he would be.
Anytime, we very much try not to put any conditions on with the building being, and then we just ask
And I also know, sorry, and I also know at one time, it was talked about, like for new employees, that other employees could donate to new employees. I think there's some type of policy that maybe they can't. Didn't know if we could circle that back around and look at that, for new employees being hired. Say, for instance, they're here a week and then, you know, God forbid something happens to a family member or something, they don't have any sick time. I think that was an issue from my understanding before, and didn't know if we could look at that sometime later on with HR, bring that back around.
Ms. Atkins, if I'm not mistaken, we did that in 2018. We had a employee that was out, and we don't know if we passed an ordinance, but Mr. Wayne Sutherland, he put it out, and I think Wayne gave some time, and I think a lot of people gave some time, but I don't know that we passed an ordinance, but that has happened here before, and I think that's a great idea. But do you know if we passed an ordinance?
Yes, there was an ordinance passed that
Okay.
used to could only donate your vacation, but now you can donate vacation and sick time. That was the change. You could donate sick time also
For even like new employees?
for anyone that needs like
I think anybody.
sick leave or something.
Okay.
But I
Yeah,
don't remember
it's certain
the specific-
stipulations, but you can donate sick, vacation or sick now.
Okay.
Is it, as long as it's not people that abuse their time, is there a stipulation for people? And like, new people, I know, I've dealt with a sick leave bank
Right.
where people have donated their time, and then if, you have an employee who has not accrued time and they file if ill or something like that, they're able to pull from that. But I know that one of the stipulations with our sick leave bank is you had to meet a certain criteria. If you were an abuser of somebody that called in and burned your time up, didn't show up for work, there were stipulations to that. I don't know what they are for this one.
We do have
But
stipulations.
for people that are new, I think, do they fall under that criteria? If they should become ill and have to be out and they haven't accrued
Right,
enough
it's just
sick
not just
time?
for new, it's for old or new. You just have to be out a certain amount of time before people can start donating their time to you.
And maybe that's what it was. And Deputy Chief, I hate to put you on the spot, but I think from my understanding, if I recall correctly, it was a police officer. I don't know the police officer or anything like that. But from my understanding, when Mr. Freeman was here, there was a police officer that was either sick, his family member was sick, and he had just started and had like no time or anything like that. Does that ring a bell at all? Okay, I'll try to, but apparently some officers wanted to donate time and they weren't allowed. Now, whether or not, but I'll try to go back in my notes and look. I'll try.
You have to be out a certain amount of time before I think people can donate to you.
And that may be it, if we could look at,
Yeah,
because
it's
wasn't it
addressed in the
like
personnel policy.
30-day or something? Okay, but anyway, yep.
Would you mind, Mrs. Corbin, to send us a copy of that?
Sure, I'd be
please?
glad
I would
to.
appreciate you, thank you.
And just maybe
Just
look
so we
at,
see what it says.
can't remember,
'Cause
I think.
I know we did it. I know
Right.
we can, but don't know the specific.
I'd like to read it.
I think that officer was gonna go like a long time without being paid or something. But anyway, thank you. Thank y'all.
So I'll send it to you.
Sorry.
Well, I'd like to see us approve this ordinance and have the cap of 120, excuse me,
A cap of how much?
120 hours.
It'll be at your, on your regular council meeting on the June 23rd. It'll be on the council agenda.
Now, looking on the other side of that, will that put then people short if these people, if these people that are great employees and have worked and everything like that, if they don't come in or whatever, is that going to put the other shift or other departments short? You know, I just want to make sure we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's one of the reasons why the supervisor needs to approve it, just to be sure that the schedule works out.
Okay.
And we're gonna, I'm sure it's not gonna be perfect. There are gonna be.
No, I
times
just
when
want to make
people-
it okay.
And so this ordinance will fix this issue in the
In the
future.
future, they'll
Thank you.
just lose them if
Okay.
they let it
Yeah.
accumulate beyond that.
Thank you.
Any other dialogue or questions on that particular subject? As Ms. Corbin said, we'll see it in a meeting soon.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, next on the agenda is review of ordinance number 1451, ordinance amending and reenacting Chapter 7, licenses and businesses regulations, Article 2, business professional and occupational license, Division 2, rate Section 7-66, yard sales and flea markets of the Code of the Town of Virginia, Wytheville, Virginia.
Sure, you know this one is better than I do.
Yes, and Elaine knows too. Elaine, would you
Elaine
prefer to
knows
talk
all.
about it?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So each year for probably the last 10 years or more, the town council has done a temporary waiving of this section of the town code as it relates to yard sales and flea markets. And the reason why the town council has traditionally done that is because of the take a break from the interstate Route 21 yard sale that happens. By doing that, you enable the folks in your town to set up for longer than 2 days, which is what it has traditionally said in the town code. So last year when we discussed this, I believe I spoke up and I said, let's maybe look at just changing this permanently so that we don't every year have to go and do this special one-off exception. So really the change that is in the ordinance is instead of restricting individuals from having just a 2-day yard sale, we would allow them to have a 4-day yard sale. And that would cover those individuals that typically set up for the 21 road market sale, which is usually from Thursday to Sunday. So that's the purpose of it. And if you would like to do so, we can consider this, I guess, at the next meeting, correct, Sherry?
Yes, it'll be the June 23rd. Yes, ma'am.
So completely up to you all. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Now, Ms. Sultan, does this mean like when you say 4, does that mean like 4 total, or does that mean 4 that one weekend, and then they could have like one individual like on a Saturday, another Saturday, and another Saturday, and another Saturday?
So the limit is 4 consecutive days, but only twice a year. So, if you wanted to have one in the spring and one in the fall, that could work for your household.
That would be like 8 days total, correct?
Correct, if you wanted to push the maximum.
Any other questions or concerns about that? If
Not that I
not,
have
we'll
yard sales.
meet that one at the next meeting as well. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, discussion regarding setting a date for a shredded event in August. Don't know who put that on there.
It's on there.
Yeah, that's her. Oh, okay. Oh, Stephanie, if you just come on up and introduce yourself and then help us understand where we're
Yeah,
going.
of course, yeah. So
Thank
my name
you.
is Stephanie Parker. I'm the executive director at the Chamber of Commerce. And what this event is, we've done it in the past. Unfortunately, I haven't been at the ones in the past. I just stepped into this role in April. But it's the Shred It event where people from the community, it's not businesses, it's only individuals, can come and get their whatever documents shredded. Normally, we would have had this event in March, but when I came in April, I was like, well, this year we won't do it. We'll wait till next year. But then I got an influx of calls of the community wanting this event. So I started trying to get it together. In the past, True Light has been the sponsor for this event, but unfortunately this year they're not going to be able to. So I started looking at other sponsors, and First Bank and Trust will be the sponsor for this event. And the dates that they are willing to do the event is August 9th, 23rd, and 30th, and they are still good with the normal time of 9 to 12.
And location here
In
in
our
the parking lot?
Yes, ma'am.
In this parking lot?
Yes, ma'am.
Right there, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know, I do have a question. I do know back a couple years ago, there was concern that the chamber was having the shred-a-thon out here. Do you remember what that was?
There was concern that they were.
Yes. I think Mr. Bluefield was concerned that it was out here in our parking lot, that it really, I just didn't know if there
Because
was.
we've had it out there now.
Forever.
Well, that's what I was sort of trying to, I knew it was there before, and then there was some type of conflict or something, I think he had
I don't
mentioned.
remember
so.
that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I wish I knew.
No,
Unfortunately,
me
I know.
too. I just
Yeah.
didn't know if
Yeah.
past, yes, okay, good deal. Thank you.
You're right, we've been
Thank
having
you,
a lot
ma'am.
of requests for it,
Yes,
so, and,
I've had several.
so
as well.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
If you need me to do anything, just let me know.
All right, thank you so much.
Oh, do you want a council to pick a date?
Yes.
Okay. So August 9th, which is what
I don't
day of the
know.
week?
They're all Saturdays.
All Saturdays,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
9th, 23rd, or 30th. Is it really
August what?
9th, 23rd, or 30th? I don't think it really.
He just said that August 9th is the wine festival in the park, so that might not be the best
August
one.
9th, cut that one out.
Yeah, that would cause conflict.
Should we just pick one?
Did we can?
I mean, I don't think anybody has
Doesn't
a
matter.
request.
Doesn't matter.
What about with the sponsor? Do they have a particular date that they want it on?
Just those three was the ones that they had available and just asked us to pick from those three.
Or why don't we pick the 23rd?
Sounds good.
23rd? All right,
Okay.
sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And welcome.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Thank you and welcome aboard.
All right, next on the agenda is discussion regarding the beautification task force.
This was just a little quick update. We haven't really met. I know we appointed people back in January. I actually forgot about being appointed in January, but we haven't met, but would like to meet soon to talk about a few things in the park. Nothing major, just a few things that we really haven't had a chance to talk about. So Mrs. Atkins and Dr. Taylor were appointed, and I think you two were going to alternate. So maybe I'll get with you and we'll schedule a meeting maybe the next couple of weeks. Would that be okay?
Whatever's fine. What about you, Mayor Taylor?
No, is it okay? Okay, that's all I had on that. Thank you very much.
All right, next on the agenda is continued discussion regarding the crosswalk at Tazewell and Monroe Streets.
And we touched on this just very briefly, I think, with Ms. Atkins last night. You saw in the staff council update from last week that to reconfigure that signal and the crosswalks was about $156,000. We were suggesting that, or staff was suggesting that a solar-powered flashing light that would activate with the press of a button at a pole on either side would be an appropriate way to signal that so cars would slow down as they approach and stop when they see people in the crosswalk. Those, I've just looked, generally those start at about $6,000 a piece. Haven't checked into getting a sign for both sides so it would flash in both directions, but I would suggest that we could probably install this for in the neighborhood of about $20,000 versus the $156,000 that was quoted. If you all would like, we'll pursue getting more detailed information about that, if you think that's an appropriate way to handle that crosswalk.
Well, I agree that something needs to be done. Also, something needs to be done on Main Street and the Heritage Walk going
Well,
across.
yeah, and there's another one, might
Would
be able
that
to use it.
same unit work over there as well?
I think it might. Mhm.
I was going to ask if there would be some possibilities in striping where people cross, actually make those walkways, stripe them, because they're just two lines now. If you had them striped, they would stand out more. I think you could do a lot with paint on those walkways. I don't know if that would be a possibility. I think you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now it's just two straight lines, just two lines, but there's not lines.
There used to be lines, I thought,
I think
like a
maybe-
ladder in between,
There
but
used to be.
Well,
but
over
not-
here in Monroe,
I think maybe
I
when
mean,
they
down by the
paved-
pool,
Yeah.
that area had it, right?
Yes. Well, I think maybe when they paved at some point, but I was just thinking that would really enhance
Yeah.
that if you had it striped, because
I agree.
it has been painted, but the paint's looking pretty rough on all of the crosswalks on Main.
Yeah.
The paint's kind of worn, and that might be something to help, that wouldn't cost much, that might bring people's attention to it when you get to it. So, and for some reason, I think when we paved last time, that didn't get striped back the same, but I'm not sure about that. But that might be something that we
Very
could do
likely.
with that, with those panels, that might make it a little more safer.
I can add, we are getting quite a bit of pedestrian crosswalks added across the town as part of the HSIP grant. And you probably noticed that the Heritage Walk crossing on Main Street recently was paved. and that is to prepare for the new paint that will be going down
Great.
for Heritage Walk. And I can look and see if the Monroe Tazewell is part of that scope, and I can send that to you tomorrow. There's several of them. I want to say there's half a dozen that will be striped this summer.
You know the time frame when they're gonna get started with it?
Last I heard, it's sometime soon this summer.
Yeah, I think we all would like to see that list.
Yes.
That'd be nice.
I can send that through email if you all would like.
I'd like to see it, if you don't mind. Thank you. So do you think that would work for what you're talking about on Tazewell?
No, do you know when the time frame, like for the Heritage Walk, when that was added?
You mean the trail itself?
No, ma'am. I guess my concern is like I said, this has been talked about for over a year, right at a year, because it was during Chautauqua last year when I actually made the call, because there were two little wee ones wanting to cross, and they were sitting there and they were trying to figure out which time to go. I don't know if there needs to be like a small time lapse on the light or something to give them, but you know, I just think it's sort of very important, especially for this section here, because it's so crunched, you know, with the rock house and things like that. They actually stood there and they were trying to figure out, you know, where to go, which way to cross. So actually I stopped, pulled out, walked them down there, and I did explain to them I'm not a stranger to danger or whatever, but I want to make sure you get across here, because there was no light whatsoever. And for two little ones to go down to the park, you know, just to try to go to Chautauqua, and then, you know, so.
But this, I mean, what we're talking about is putting these
The lights,
there.
the lights up, okay,
Well, not
and
the light,
also
but
the paint.
With the
Well, I was
flashing
thinking that
signs
might
and the
help.
paint. The
Just trying
paints
to
are
make
there,
it
but
as safe
increasing
as
the paint.
possible.
Yep. I think that's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Okay.
And then you want to do the same on Main Street at the Millwall crossing as well, since we don't have a cross for the same type of lights. Is that what you were saying you would like
Yeah,
to see
I mean,
there?
I think that's a potential solution that won't cost as much as, well, you know, there used to be a signal there.
I can't believe they didn't put it back,
Well,
but that's okay. It's not,
there was,
because that's like the heart of the, right across from the mill wall where you know people are going to be crossing, but it would be nice once that gets striped and
I'd like to see what grants we're getting for crosswalks that Lane was gonna send to us. That would be,
And once again, I was going
Good
to
to
ask
know.
on the solar lights, if we did those, Mrs. Holton, is there any way that could be used out of that energy savings plan money? I'm trying to tap into some funding for these because we didn't put it in the budget, so I was hoping it might be in there. Would that not fall under that, or is it just
No,
too?
the plan itself is, we'll be looking at facilities across the town.
Okay, thank you.
Energy savings.
I appreciate it. I'm just curious how we could, you know.
I mean, I don't know. We can look into transportation enhancement grants, see if we could get a townwide crosswalk
Why just-
signalization. But the trouble with that is it's going to take a year,
Yes.
year and a half, 2 years
No
to get
problem.
that implemented.
So we would just have to do a amendment if we wanted it? Just asking how we're gonna.
Right.
so
Because
what was the
all these
cost
things sound
again?
good. I want to support them all,
Cost.
but I'm figuring out.
You said they're 6,000 apiece.
6,000 apiece, yes.
And two on this, and
I think Mr. Moore said, what, 4 or 2?
I was hoping that we could do 4 for about 20,000, which would be two poles with 2 faces and flashing lights.
And I do
Try that and
appreciate,
see.
Yeah.
Worst case, it doesn't work and we go back to the big plan, but hopefully this will
Right.
work. It should help some.
and actually, when I was looking over my agenda over the weekend for this, of course, I did mention it last night, but I do appreciate the marker lights, the blinking lights that are down there on Tazewell Street, so, yep. Thank you.
Is that okay?
Thanks for checking into that, Mr. Moore.
So then, is this something, are we making a decision tonight, or it would be nice to get these up as soon as possible for all of the people that are going to be downtown here very, very soon. So how,
Can we ask for an amendment to the budget
That's what I was gonna-
tonight?
yeah, I didn't know how
Well,
you want it.
I think you can go ahead and implement this, and then next year sometime, you
Okay.
can get a budget amendment started.
Okay, so we can go ahead
Yeah.
and,
And we may have some, there may be some money in the end of year that we could use on this. I'm not sure. We'll check into that,
What do you think, Dr.?
but I doubt it.
You're saying to wait and don't do anything tonight, just go ahead, I mean,
We'll look into it. We've got to get pricing and all that firmed up, and then we'll move forward.
thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Thank y'all for your work on that.
All right, next on the agenda is discussion regarding the Heritage Walk crossing on Main Street. So that's what we just talked about with the other one. So next is council member time.
Dr. Taylor, may I just go back for 1 second and just ask a quick question? On the crosswalk, I noticed where they paved the section in front of parties. Is that going to be a crosswalk?
It will.
Okay, right, that's what I was thinking. So, and that's a part of that.
It is,
Thank you.
yes. They went ahead and paved all the sections that were to get striped so
Okay,
that
great.
the striping would last for a long time.
Thank you, Rand. Yeah, that's good.
Any council members need any?
I do.
All right, we'll start on your end.
And I'm just going to, I was approached by Mr. Dewey Clemens Sr., and he asked for me to just spend some time and hear him out, and I did. And he would like to donate a bench to the town. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain just a little bit so that everybody can understand. Maybe we can put it on the next agenda or work session. You all can think about it and maybe possibly accept it. But he and his wife sat down, they had a conversation, and they would like to donate a bench to the town to go over to the police department. And what they would like to do, and I'll walk around and show each one of you, let you take a look before I move. That's brown with a black stripe in the middle, okay? So what he would like to do, because he wants to do it in memory of his son, Lieutenant Dewey Clemens. And so this bench comes from someone here in town. One
Tell
of
you
our,
where.
our businesses in town. But what he would like to do, he would like to order this bench and for it to be blue or black with a thin blue line, not blue, but black, because that represents police officers. So, the following police officers would be black with a thin blue line in between that. I spoke with Chief Deputy Bard and Chief Hash, and they were in support of that. And I asked about the location. He and I walked over to the police department. He wanted to put the bench at the flagpole. He said that there's nowhere for anybody to sit outside over there if they're waiting or what have you, if they choose to sit outside. And he wanted to put it at the flagpole. But after speaking with Chief Hash and Chief Deputy Bard, they are going to have an awning put up. And they would like for that bench to be donated and go under the awning for someone, if they need to get out of the rain or something like that, or shade, they would like for them to put it there. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with Lieutenant Clemens, but I know when he first started out, he was in a shootout, and he was newly hired. And that is something that a lot of people may not know about, but he was barely 20, and he started October 1st, 1989, with the Wytheville Police Department. In less than 3 months on the job, he was involved in a shooting in which the town investigator was wounded. Dewey's quick response saved his and the investigator's life. He received a letter of commendation from Mayor Stark at that time and Chief of Police Bobby Dowell. So they would like to put that bench there in memory of him, and he is also he's going to get a plaque designed, and he said they would pay for the bench, they would pay for the plaque to go on it, if the town would just be so kind as to accept it and set it at the police department. And Chief Deputy, is there anything you would like to add I know that you all said you are in support, and if you would like to add, feel free to come forward at this time if you want to. It's totally up to you. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything like that, but if you'd like to add to that, please feel free.
Dewey was my best friend.
Take your
I
time.
supported Howard.
Thank you.
I would love to support this. I knew him as well. I think that these are the kind of things that I love, is when people want to give and the town can say yes. So I would love for us to be able to accept the gift, and I don't see any problem with that myself personally. So.
Okay.
I think we could
Nice to
accept it
support that.
tonight.
Yeah,
Can we? Oh,
yeah.
thank you.
I love
Nice, nice, yes.
Absolutely.
He was just wonderful. He was a wonderful
Yeah.
officer. I mean,
He
you
was a
know,
good
and
guy.
I'm gonna share something else with you too. He told his dad that being a police officer is just not about arresting the bad guys and writing tickets, but when you could help someone in need, that is the best part of the job. To Dewey, the good citizens of Wythe County and Wytheville were family, and he loved you like you were family. So that, I mean, his character was just impeccable. So I thank you tonight, because he was just a great, great guy. I mean, you could talk to him if he was out, you know, if he was working a football game or a basketball game, if he was just working and you saw him out, you know, he would talk to you. He didn't, you know, he used his position to love people. And so I'm thankful to have, you know, he was a few years older than me, but we all went to school together, and to be able to work together in the same line of work. He was just an amazing individual. So I thank you tonight.
Maybe we should make a motion. and let us
Yes, I would
vote on it,
like to
please.
make a motion that we accept a memory bench from Mr. and Mrs. Clemens in honor of their son, Lieutenant Dewey Clemens, to be placed at the Whitfield Police Department.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye as well. Any opposed?
Thank you.
And we say thank you to his parents. Thank you. That's very nice.
And actually, I don't think that was the only
Thank you
shootout
for
he was in
calling.
either,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Dewey's a good man.
Is there anybody else in citizens' time?
That's all I have.
Councilmember time, anybody?
Councilman time. Well, thank you. All right, so now, council now finds it necessary to go into closed session. Closed meeting pursuant to 2.2-3711A1, discussion regarding certain town employees, and 2.2-3711A8, consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters to obtain legal advice. I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second? Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye as well, any opposed? We are now going into closed session. Thank you all for coming. In open session, a motion is necessary to certify that only matters lawfully convening to the open session were discussed. I need a motion.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hear none, this will be a roll call vote. Mr. Hand?
Aye.
Patterson, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Atkins, aye.
Johnson, aye.
We are now legally in open session. Is there anything else to come before council this evening? All right, hear none? We are done.